Hello there, welcome to Inkquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another fountain pen video. My fellow Calgary Pen Club friend Peter has loaned me a couple of his gorgeous fountain pens. Thanks Peter, appreciate it. At the last pen club meeting, he showed me this Waterman's Charleston fountain pen, part of his Waterman collection. I love Waterman pens, but I was really fascinated with this one because I had never heard of the model before. This is the Waterman Charleston, and it was made in homage to Waterman's classic Man 100 fountain pen. These came out in about the year 2000 and continued in the Waterman catalog until about 2015. And the other pen that Peter loaned me, he loaned me a few weeks previous, and I had taken it and written with it for a bit. And I didn't do a review on it because I found some writing issues with the nib. So I brought it back to him, not wanting to review the pen, and I didn't want to say anything disparaging about Santini, not knowing how new the pen was or anything else about its history. And Peter just looked at me and said, well, fix it. Well, this is not an inexpensive pen, and this has an 18 karat gold Santini stub nib, and I'm just not going to work on someone's pen without their permission. But he handed it back to me and said, fix it. So I have some interesting things to say about this. One of the most interesting things is that Peter didn't notice that the nib had issues, and that's because Peter's left-handed. So we're going to look at writing with this and how someone writing left-handed might not notice some issues that a right-hander might notice on a nib. And this pen is a Santini Libra Rubino. So we'll take a look at that momentarily. But let's take a look at the Charleston for a moment. It's in this beautiful blue acrylic. From the top we see the Waterman logo, and the top finial is integrated with the clip, which has the typical Waterman slit down the center. Nice springy nib. And then there's a chrome cap band, and the barrel has these engraved rings on both sides of a body ring, which says France on one side, and then a very interesting Waterman engraving in sort of an Art Deco style. I think this is all in homage to their Man 100 fountain pen from the 1930s. The barrel tapers down, there's another chrome ring, and a faux blind cap at the back. The pen unscrews with one turn to reveal a tapering black section, and an 18 karat gold medium nib with Waterman, an Art Deco kind of border on the top and Paris below. And there it says 18K 750 for the gold content. This is a cartridge converter pen. It'll take either a Waterman Standard International cartridge converter or Standard International long cartridges. The nib is relatively small for the pen. The cap posts nicely, and the pen is beautifully balanced in the hand. What you tend to expect from Waterman quality. And I'll do some writing with this pen. Now let's take a look at Peter's Santini Libra Rubino, which I assume means red in Italian. It is a medium to large size fountain pen. Here it is with a Leonardo Momento Zero for scale. You can see that it's quite a bit thicker and slightly longer than the Momento Zero. It has that very nice classic rollerball type clip, which is nicely springy, has a conical top, a straight, slightly tapering up cap to a large gold cap band that says Italia Santini, and is reeded along the top and the bottom, which makes it look like a coin. I really like that reeding. And there's a slight curve down to the barrel. The barrel tapers down to a gold ring, which separates the piston knob from the barrel. This is a piston filler. The cap unscrews with one and slight bit turn, and we see a milk bottle shaped section, which I really like, which is slightly similar to the Leonardo Momento Zero type section, which I admire. And of course that beautiful gold Santini stub nib. It has the Santini S, lots of border filigree, 1998 and 18 KT, and the S for stub, and the ebonite feed. I might as well tell you right now that that nib exhibits symptoms of having baby's bottom on it. And when I was writing with it, it was skipping quite a bit for me. But when Peter writes with it, he has no problem with it. So we'll look at that when we get to the writing sample. The pen is large and thick in the hand. That barrel is very thick, and the cap posts nicely. It does make the pen a bit long. and we'll do a writing sample with this pen. Let's take a look at how both of these pens write. And here we have the Waterman Charleston on Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is a medium 18 karat gold nib. And the ink, I'm assuming, is a Waterman black because it's a cartridge. Nicely wet pen, very, very smooth writer with very little feedback. Now let's check out these lines with my Dominant Industries pad, and we see that this line is 0.5 and the vertical line is 0.6. So 0.5 to 0.6 millimeters, which makes it a Western medium. And now let's write with the Santini. I'm not going to post this pen because it's a little bit too big for me. Very, very thick in the hand. And this is the Santini Libra Rubino. And you can start to see what I'm experiencing here. It's very smooth, lots of bounce to that 18 karat gold nib. But you can see that I'm missing the tops of many of these strokes. So this is what I was dealing with when I'm writing with this pen. It's very, very wet and smooth, but it's skipping a lot for me. So I took a picture of the nib with my electronic digital microscope, and this is what it looks like. You might be able to see that the nib exhibits baby's bottom. This is what baby's bottom looks like. When you have the tip of the nib, say it's a ball like this, and it's split down the center, if the tines are together like that on the page, the ink will flow through those tines to the page. But if it looks like this instead, which means that it's over polished, there's a gap right there. You can see I'm still missing with this pen. That gap keeps the ink from flowing to the page, and so you get skips. But the interesting thing is that Peter, being left-handed, never experienced that because it writes in all directions for him with his left hand. I put it in his hand, he wrote with it, and he said, what's the problem? So it has to do with the fact that a left-hander very rarely writes in that direction or pulls the nib back towards themselves, which is where I'm experiencing the skip on those downstrokes, as you can see. So he said, go ahead and fix this nib for him. I was kind of hesitant to do that because if it's writing fine for him, why should I fix it? But without baby's bottom, it should write perfectly in all directions. Currently, it's not writing very well in the right-handed direction. So I'm going to go ahead and give it the baby's bottom treatment that I have. And you can see that video that I created on how to cure your nib from baby's bottom by clicking on that link right up there. And I'm going to go through the micromesh with this nib from 1500 grit down through to 12,000 grit. These heavier grits, I have to warn you, as I've warned Peter already, that you do this with your fountain pen at your own risk. If you try this technique and you destroy your nib, it's on you, not on me. You have to be very, very careful when you're up here at these coarse grits. You want to grind off that baby's bottom so that it's like this, but also not take off too much material that you destroy that nib. So we just want to take off that bit of material there so it lays flat on the page and transfers ink. So I'm going to go very, very slowly with the coarse grit just to knock off that material, and then we go through the rest of the grits to polish the nib again. Why does baby's bottom happen on these nibs? Well, these companies will polish their nibs so they're very, very smooth, but they over polish them, and that polishes that inside edge right there, which creates baby's bottom on these nibs. So this technique should cure this pen from the skipping in the downward direction of the nib. And I'll come back and see whether it's worked right now. And here we are back with Peter's Santini Libra, and the pen is behaving itself now after the baby's bottom treatment, and it's got a nice amount of bounce to this stub nib. And the ink I'm using is Iroshizuku Kujaku, lovely teal ink, and the line this nib makes goes from 0.5 millimeters to 0.9 millimeters. And there we go, two beautiful fountain pens from Peter's collection, the Santini Libra in Rubino and a circa 2000 to 2015 Waterman's Charleston. So thanks go out to Peter for loaning me his beautiful fountain pens, and that just leaves it for me to say thank you for watching, and that's all she wrote.
I made this.